This is Gaming Through the Ages, and today we're taking a look at the Japanese import Magical Taruruto Kun for the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. Magical Taruruto Kun is a manga and anime series that was first published in Shonen Jump in the late 80s and early 90s, back when the Dragon Ball manga was being published. Unlike Dragon Ball, Taruruto Kun never gained any notoriety in the Western world, and as of this recording, has never been translated into English for either the manga or anime series, as far as I'm aware. That being said, the series was popular enough in Japan to spawn several video games, and this is one of the better game entries. The story of the manga essentially revolves around a 5th grader, Honmaru, who befriends Taruruto, a small magic user from the magical world. However, Taruruto is constantly sought after by the female magic user Mamora-chan, who is jealous of Honmaru getting Taruruto's attention. At the same time, Mamora is constantly sought after by the magic user Raiba, who is the type of recurring antagonist to often be thwarted without the characters even knowing they've stopped his plans. These are the main character dynamics that move the stories forward and cause shenanigans issue to issue, episode to episode. But there is also a large supporting cast including Taruruto's older sister and Honmaru's school crush. Overall, the story is a light-hearted comedic tale of escapades where strange magic gets the protagonists into absurd situations and is intended for a younger audience. The Genesis game is a look at one of developer Game Freak's earliest productions before they struck gold developing Pokemon. There is a very little story in the Genesis game, and no need to understand Japanese in order to play the game, since it's a basic action platforming game at its core. The story begins with various inanimate objects coming to life in Honmaru's school, and it soon becomes evident that something magical-natured has taken over many of the series' side characters as well. The player takes control of Taruruto, who must traverse 4 lengthy stages from the suburbs to the magical world and back again, with multiple bosses faced along the way. Taruruto Kun wields a magic wand he can use to pick up objects and throw at enemies. Occasionally, the wand is used to interact with objects in the levels to facilitate platforming. Taruruto can also directly attack enemies with the wand and can glide after a jump. The glide gives him momentum, which helps with some of the lengthier jumps sprinkled throughout the game. The glide is also required at times for the player to get through certain gaps in the levels. Taruruto can also use 3 magic spells he gains throughout the game, those being a transparency spell, which is essentially short-term invulnerability, a spell which calls Mamora to attack an enemy, and the 2-part magic spell which can hit multiple enemies. The game is generally easy throughout, except for some sections which ramp up the difficulty substantially, such as the cloud traversal section. It is very easy to burn through accumulated lives during these portions of the game. Extra lives can be gained by finding them as pickups through levels or by gaining enough points from defeating enemies. The other 2 pickups that can be found are health and magic uses. The bosses are entertaining if you are familiar with the source material, and can be difficult until their pattern becomes clear. Much of the difficulty of the boss fights is derived from Taruruto only being able to take 3 hits before losing a life, and the game being limited to only 3 continues. The game is vibrant with large sprites and captures the spirit of its source material through both its colorful graphics and upbeat music. While the game was on the shorter side and had some notable difficulty curvature issues, it was an enjoyable excursion and sucked me into the world of the series for a short time, but it does have little in the way of replayability once the player has seen everything the game has to offer. As much as I enjoyed the aesthetics on display, there is a plethora of action platformers on the Genesis more deserving of attention, including the Japanese exclusive Pulseman, also developed by Game Freak. But if you've burned through the best, Magical Taruruto Kun deserves more than just a cursory glance.